All right. Welcome, Adam, to the Biohacker Babes podcast. Thanks for joining us today from Portugal.
From sunny Portugal. Guys, it's an absolute pleasure being with you today.
Awesome. You're a fellow podcaster, so we're going to have a really fun conversation today. We're going to chat about detox. I'm excited about this because we were chatting offline before we hit record. The internet is filled with detox advice. Everybody has an opinion, particularly about parasites, but people seem to be really obsessed with chasing bugs, chasing worms, etc. And that really goes against our belief about taking like a systems level approach and looking at the terrain, looking at the root causes or the reasons why your body would let these things maybe try to take over. So excited to hear your voice because you speak so much about a self-regulatory approach, right? Like the body is so intelligent. So
Yeah, absolutely.
what was we're going to pick your brain a ton today, but what would your PSA be about this? Like what are people getting wrong in general about detox?
Well, what I would say is, firstly, and this probably goes, it's counterintuitive, it's not all about detox, right? So I love the fact that detox is out there now. Now, obviously, we get the extreme versions of like these worms, and I remember seeing like an image of a bear with worms hanging out its butt, and it's all this like kind of like shock kind of imagery.
Yeah.
The way I position it is, we now live in a very unique time. More toxins than ever before in the environment. Like I on one of my my keynotes, I just show a graph of the four major toxins all going like this. So we have man-made chemicals going like this. We have heavy metals going like this. EMF towers like this. And then our exposure to blue light toxicity going like this. So we're exposed to more and more toxins than ever before. And the way I see it is there are many pillars to health. So there's no like, just do this thing. Doesn't exist. So detox is important, but it's not the only thing. Because if you're not sleeping well, you don't have good nutrition, you don't have good gut health, you don't have good sense of community, you don't have a connection to God or whatever you believe in, it's not going to work. It's part of a wider picture of health. But the reason why I talk about it so much is because it's a pillar that we really have to know and be dialed in on detoxification now. Because we live in a world where if there's more toxins coming in than leaving, we've got a problem. Mm-hmm. And there's many reasons for that. It can be down to your microbiome, your constitution. So there's many reasons why someone might become more toxic than someone else. But ultimately, the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because not only did it like help me and cure me of all the issues I had, but it's the world we live in today. We've got to have some basic practices that we bake in. And it doesn't have to be these big, crazy parasite cleanses. It can be as simple as just have more minerals in your diet because that will help your body detoxify better. So I think that's the biggest headline. It's not, you don't have to do these crazy big, cleanses. They're great and they're good when done in the right way. But it's more the focus of we live in a very unique moment, a lot of toxins. We don't have to be scared. With every problem, there is a unique and opposite solution to those problems. And I like to bring awareness on the solutions of what we can do. And as I said, it doesn't have to be crazy cleanses. We can just start with having binders, having minerals, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. Always having a solution. It's like educate on the problem and then here's the solution. So I love that idea. So what would you say maybe are some like signs and symptoms people should look out for that means maybe their toxic burden is too high, like too many toxins coming in, not enough coming out? Any like physical signs or symptoms?
I mean, there's a long list. I mean, essentially, it depends on what degree or where you're at, because a lot of people, look at the culture we're in. We're in a culture of suppressing, right? And then where we're lacking energy, topping up energy with like, take some caffeine or, now nicotine's the thing, right? There's all these different nicotine products, like sticking it in your gums and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say, most problems around, brain fog, fatigue, digestion issues, skin issues. They're like the highlight ones where people are like, okay, this is happening enough where it's causing me not to be on my game, right? I'm constantly tired in the afternoons. My brain fog's terrible. You ask me a question and I start answering and I forget what you've asked me, right? That type of brain fog. Or it's, I can't eat so many foods now. And then that causes an issue. I can't go to a restaurant. I can't eat with family because I've got all these different issues. Or it might be my skin is causing me loads of issues. And, I've worked with many YouTubers who are like, you have to fix my skin because if you don't, I can't do can't do my day job, right? So it's all of these things that, they're like kind of the surface level things, but then it just depends, because if you keep going, these things get more and more chronic. On my journey, I started with, I can't eat that food anymore. No, just won't eat it. Fine, I'll keep going. Don't it, so I was conditioned for convenience. I was conditioned for, go to a doctor, get a pill and go home, right? So, it depends. If you keep leaving these things unaddressed, they get worse and worse and worse. And then, for me and my journey, everything just came crashing down. So it kind of felt like, oh my God, this has happened. But no, it's been happening for probably 10 years and I've just ignored it. And then what I thought was like the thing, no, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And now you're knackered, right? So, entry level stuff, fatigue, brain fog, digestive issues, skin issues, just not feeling on your game. And then it can keep evolving from there.
I feel like that's the hardest thing about health for humans, is that it really takes until it's piled up and it's really a problem and we're really symptomatic before we listen. Which is why I like that you're offering simple solutions, because these are things that we can integrate and become part of our lifestyle and behaviors that don't have to be so complicated. But that seems like a problem across the board. Would you agree? It's like we often wait until it's too late, or maybe, the traditional allopathic medical model is just not offering us the right resources. We're not thinking about it the right way.
I think it's a blend of everything, right? I think one of the biggest shifts for me in my journey was obviously figuring out how to get healthy, but also I studied a lot about mindset and understanding how the mind works. And I studied under Bob Proctor's programs, and I just became obsessed with, oh my God, there's a subconscious mind. And so I learned, when I realized, oh wow, so a lot of what I've done is based off the programming and conditioning that I basically was given and installed within my family, within my culture, within my country. And I think the Western culture is just live your life, and when you get sick, the doctor will save you, not proactively be healthy so you never get sick. Now that's now the mantra I live by. I'm proactive. I'm taking minerals every day. I like doing coffee enemas once a week. I do loads of maintenance practices to keep me topped up. Now I do that. Before, it was like live my life, have fun, and if I keel over, then I'll address it. So I think it's a cultural thing, because I do hear like in China they have this is all hearsay. I don't know. I haven't researched it, but it's like, Chinese medicine, the doctor keeps you healthy, and you basically, they're all about proactive health rather than reactive. Don't know if that's true, but anyway. So that's
I actually heard at one point that this may be hundreds of years ago. I don't know if they still do this, but the doctor only got paid when the patient got well.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard. That's what I was trying to explain.
I don't know. I mean, that's how it should be. Yeah. Not like concept. The sick care. Just keep you sick. Here's another medication, and on and on. Yeah,
exactly. So I think it's a little bit of, it's just the conditioning that we're in, and it's funny because, being on social media, that's how I communicate to the world. Again, the people that kind of give me the bad energy in the DMs, it's people with a certain belief system around, going to a doctor and that side of things, because what I offer is so kind of, it's not out there to like in holistic health circles, but to other people it's like, you're crazy, right? So, and it's rubbing up against their belief systems, So I understand that. I'm like, okay, I get it, because if someone had come to me before I got unwell and told me this stuff, I'd be like, you're crazy, right? What are you talking about? So I understand. But because I understood that I've really dialed in on mindset, I get it now. I'm like, okay, cool. It's just where they are on their belief system, and it's okay,
Yeah.
So it's many things.
Real thing, and it's just so interesting. Like, especially in our political climate in this country, I just find there's more people that have angst and anger and just get really irritable and very easily irritated. And I see that as, there's multi-layered, but a dysregulated nervous system, and maybe even some toxicity, that you can be so jumpy and fire so quickly. Not to say that's all about detoxing, but I feel like it's a component where their nervous system just needs to come down a little bit, perhaps.
And that's a really good point, because again, there's no point you detoxing if your nervous system is fried. Absolutely, don't even bother. So again, you've got to look at, so there's so many things to make sure are lined up before you do any big cleanses, because if you are in fight or flight, your body won't even let you detox. Sure. So you accumulate heavy metals and man-made chemicals. If the body doesn't feel safe, you can throw all the binders down your throat all day long. I get many clients who they're like, I jump in the sauna and I don't sweat, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, we need to work on your nervous system first, because you need to feel safe. You might feel safe, but your body doesn't feel safe. So again, it's another component to things we've got to look at. And again, why our nervous system's fried? Because we're on our phones all the time. We're I mean, it's funny if you watch the news. I don't watch the news, but I actually, a quick story. I went home to see my parents, and they watched the news, and obviously I was with them. I had to watch it, and I was like, right, guys, okay, I'm going to make a bet with you. I reckon every single news article is going to be negative. Do you want to make a bet? And it was like death, murder, flooding. And I was like, do you think this is good before we go to bed, hearing all this stuff? And we joke about it, right? Because they think I'm funny. I think they're funny. I'm like, because we're all open. We can give our opinions, and it's fine. But again, if you're getting all this coming at you, no wonder people are fried, and they're worried because they're like, oh my God, there's another war happening. So again, it's
we're so connected.
Creating practices where you can, you're stopping the stimulation coming in, but then also doing practices to calm the nervous system as well.
Can you explain why, when we are stuck in that sympathetic fight or flight state, why the body doesn't want to prioritize detoxification?
Yeah, because it doesn't feel safe to release toxins. Because
it could make you more sick.
Absolutely. Like if you are already in a state where your body isn't able to relax, it's not going to have normal. I mean, it's not even just detox. It's just a lot of normal functions don't occur. So it's like there's many things. For example, reproduction. Like all of these different things stop when your body's stressed. So it's like a long list of things that just go on the back burner, basically. And it's just
survive.
Like, we must survive. So when you get out of that, it's like, oh, okay, we can start looking at those. The body will address things in the order it wants to address things, right? It's only going to do it in its own time, So as you start to detox and heal, you're like, oh, I really want to fix this thing or my skin, but the body might say, no, actually, this thing's more important. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. Well, that's what your body thought was more important. Because it's like divine intelligence, right? Like you want a thing to be solved, but something else will get solved first, and you're like, or like people's hair will start to get thicker, and they're like, why is that happening? It's your body thought it was more important. I don't know.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I've been dealing with, I'm a professional dancer. I've been dealing with an ankle injury, going to PT, chiro, acupuncture. My ankle started feeling better, and then my back pain came back. I was like, oh, right. My brain just diverted resources, energy towards the ankle because that was the priority. So interesting. And then that also connects, full circle to a lot of these integrative therapies that are like a peptide or an exosome that are really going to go into the body and go where they're needed. And that's a lot of biohacking technology as well. It goes where the body needs it, which I think is so cool, rather than us targeting, and to bring it back to detox, rather than targeting a parasite that potentially could be there to help us, which I want to pick your brain about, really like honoring the body's natural healing and detox abilities.
Yeah, that's the joy of biohacking, right? Because we've got all of these cool technologies. I mean, we're talking about, Paleo FX back in the day before we press record, and the Health Optimization Summit. I love those events because, yes, it's like a traveling community. Everyone knows each other, and you'll hang out. But there's so many cool things that you can add into your life that can add value, right? So whether it's tracking things or peptides, like there's loads of cool things that can elevate detox or whatever you're focused on doing. with your health. So yeah, they're all great tools. Absolutely. I really like PEMF devices. I know they're a bit more of an investment. So that's my next little shopping list purchase that I'm going for. But yeah,
nice.
it's so cool, the space.
Yeah. So we talked about nervous system, and maybe we could come back at the end and you could throw out some of your favorite strategies. But before we do start detoxing, what are some other things that we need to look at, such as detox pathways, making sure that the drain is open, things that people are missing? Maybe it's like pooping every day or sweating or doing some liver support. What do we want to make sure that we address before we just jump into targeting?
Yeah. So firstly, if you've got to the point where you're like, I need to detox, that's great. But you have to look at, right, if I need to detox, firstly, I need to look at my external environment, because we are a product of our environment. Pretty simple. So I would say do an audit of, okay, what am I exposed to every day? What am I surrounded by? So obviously, we talked about the 4 different types of toxins. What personal care products am I using? What am I cooking my food in? What am I storing my food in? What food am I eating? What air am I breathing? What lights am I exposed to? Again, it's a bit of an audit, and it doesn't have to happen all at once, but we can make some really small changes, and that they compound massively over time. EMFs is a big one as well. How much are we exposed to EMFs? Do we have EMF protection? So that's the first port of call for me. Just look at your external environment and start to make some smarter choices. Now, the good news is there are challenger brands for everything now. You want clean cookware? You can find it on Amazon. You want better deodorant? Like, everything has already been done. It's brilliant. There's nothing that I don't see that hasn't, there's no problem I don't see that hasn't been solved already with some brands. So that's really good. Yeah. So I would say start there, because actually your brain fog, your gut issue, a lot of it is just removing these exposures. Yeah. I've just done a YouTube video today on, and the kind of narrative is, these 5 chemicals are in American and British foods, but they've been banned in like the European Union. So, that's kind of the narrative of the video. So basically, if you just clean up what you're eating, you clean up what you're putting on your skin, you have better phone, I call it like a tech philosophy. You have a better engagement, like you're not having your phone in your pocket all the time, you're not sleeping next to your phone. That alone is going to improve a lot of what's going on with you. That alone. So that's the first protocol. But then when it comes to, the actual physical, okay, the body, the detox, so what we're going to do, absolutely, we have to make sure that we're pooping every day. Before that, it's, I call them the daily detox disciplines, doing things to make sure that we're getting what we need in order to detox. So we need to make sure that we've got a very nutrient-rich diet. I'm very proactive on minerals. I'm very proactive on minerals from nature. So whether it's trace minerals, whether it's making meat stock, or bone broth, it's really important. Or I love desiccated organs, but really desiccated oysters, like top for me. That's just like amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's a really good brand called Oyster Max, but they do now do what they white label now. So there's a couple of brands in America. So my friend Brian Sanders of Food Lies, he has his own oyster product that's white labeled from Oyster Max. Any oyster desiccated, any good desiccated oyster product on the market is sourced from Oyster Max. They are the best out there. So
okay. Good to know.
Great, I like that.
Minerals are really important, and how you get them is, and actually that was my first YouTube video, so go check that one out.
Awesome.
So minerals is really important in terms of, because detox is a depleting process. So you think, I'm going to sit in a sauna. Absolutely, you'll sweat out toxins, but absolutely, you'll sweat out minerals as well. So we have to make sure we are feeling safe with our nervous system and topped up with our minerals. So we've got the fuel to actually do the detoxing. So a lot of the kind of foundational work is removing the external stressors, making sure we're topped up with minerals. That's all kind of foundational stuff, and then it's the colon and making sure we're pooping, because as you alluded to, if you're not pooping and you're constipated, then you can release toxins from where they're stored, whether in the fat tissue or in the organs. They enter the system, which is the blood, and if they can't get out, they're going to recirculate, and it's not going to be nice. You're gonna get hurt summer reactions, and you're going to feel a little bit rotten. So that's definitely before we do any of the heavy lifting, which is cleaning out the detox pathways. We've got to make sure the bottom of the funnel is working, and that means we're pooping every day.
And what if people are not pooping every day? Because constipation is a huge problem. Where do you begin with those people?
It's a big problem. Well, minerals is very powerful. I was at a christening about 2 years ago, which is we don't really do christenings nowadays. But I mean, I was christened as a kid. It was like an event when I was young, like 40 years ago. But I was at a christening, and I spoke to a cousin of mine, and we were chatting, and we got into the conversation, and she basically told me she had chronic constipation for like 20 years, and I was like, wow, 20 years. She's like, yeah, I've tried everything, and I said, right. I basically gave her 2 bits of advice. I said, start having minerals in your diet, or clean up your water. She's still drinking tap water. Have filtered water and add minerals every single day. And then I said, if you're really in a pinch, you can do a water enema. The minerals alone fix the problem.
Wow.
The minerals alone. Now that's
what an easy fix.
Exactly, and I'm not saying that's the only fix, because we're all nuanced. Everything, there's no that just worked for her. There's many ways to approach it, but that alone, she was just mineral deficient. That was it. Now, there could be many other reasons, right? It could be poor bile flow. It can be many things. But that's a really good place to start, is adding more minerals. Dehydration is a big challenge because people are dehydrated. Now, dehydration isn't how much you drink, it's how much water gets into the cell, and that depends on how many minerals you have. So again, minerals are really important. Poor bile flow can be a reason for constipation as well. And again, that's more liver work. But if people are really struggling, because we want to clear the colon before we get to the liver, taking something like an oxy powder, which is it's a magnesium oxide, so Global Healing, they're great.
Love them.
Yeah, I had Dr. Edward Group on my show. It was amazing, and oxy powder is great. Now, it's not something you want to take forever, but it's good just to keep things moving until you can move further up the chain and address the other things.
I saw clients that are really struggling. I'm like, here, start here, and then we'll work our way back.
You sent me a bottle. I had a major dental surgery. I think it was back in January, and all the anesthesia and the drugs and all the stuff that just I didn't go to the bathroom for like 3 days, and I usually go like twice a day. So I was like, this feels awful. I can't even imagine people that experience this all the time. And the next day I get a box in the mail, and Lauren sent me the Oxy bottle. I was like, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And then you've got things like water enemas, which are very powerful. So that's where you basically insert water into the rectum, and it does a couple of things. It will firstly hydrate. So again, a lot of people who are constipated, they have dehydrated large intestines. And I know this because sometimes if it's a really hot, like I live in a hot country now in Portugal, but in England, you just don't expect it, right? It's just like everything just rains all the time. So there's been times in my life where it's this really hot day in England, you're enjoying the weather, and I'll be like, I'll do an enema. And I would do it, and it was crazy. I'd do an enema, and I'd go to sit in the toilet to release, and nothing would come out. I'm like, what's going on? And it's because I was so dehydrated. As soon as water went up rectally, the body was like, thank you very much. I'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take that. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's so again, a lot of people are just dehydrated, and also within the whole digestive system. So just a water enema can hydrate you if you're that dehydrated, but it can just help clear things out. Like physically, just helps move things out. So that's always a good backstop.
And why? Can you explain the difference between when you would do a water enema versus a coffee enema?
Mm-hmm. So a coffee enema is a retention enema. So a water enema is water goes up, roll around, maybe lift up your bum, bit of a shake, and then you just sit in the toilet and release. So it's basically to clear the pipes, essentially, is a water enema. I mean, there's enemas for every day of the week. You can do like chamomile enemas, and you can do enemas with lemon juice, as in not pure lemon juice, but lemon juice and water. That's good for parasite cleansing, which we can talk about.
I haven't heard that one.
But a coffee enema, the job of a coffee enema is to stimulate the hepatic portal vein, which goes through your body, and essentially gets to the liver and stimulates your liver to dump bile and your gallbladder to dump bile. And bile is the most underrated part of the body that no one talks about. But bile essentially does things like breaks up fat soluble vitamins, so we can A, D, E, and K. But also it moves toxins that start off as fat soluble, get converted into water soluble toxins through phase 1 and 2 detox. Then the body pushes it into the bile, and the bile will take it down into the large intestine, and it forms stool. So bile basically is full of toxins, and we're very good at conserving bile. I think we recycle it 15 times a day. So a lot of people's bile is really sluggish because of that, and it's full of toxins. So when we do a coffee enema, it stimulates that the liver and the gallbladder to contract. That bile gets pushed into the small intestine, then into the large intestine, and then we hold it for 20 minutes. You'll be lying on your left-hand side, it'll be gurgling and kind of going a bit crazy, and then you release after, if you look, it says between around 12 minutes. I go for 20. I make it an experience, towel down, cushion, meditation music. I make it an event when I do a coffee enema.
Yeah.
And then you'd release the coffee, and you'll see, sometimes you see some stones come out. Sometimes people say parasites come out. The smell will be, can be quite pungent because it can be toxic bile. So really it's the coffee enema is to stimulate the liver to release toxins, and it's a retention enema, so you hold it for up to 20 minutes.
Yeah. I've heard some people say lay on your right side, some people say lay on your left side.
Yeah.
Can you share, I think you said right side. So why do you?
Left side.
Oh, you said left side.
Yeah.
You said left side.
So here's the thing. For and this is for like liver flushing as well. Everyone's got this is the side.
Yeah.
I've done coffee enemas for 10 years, and my perspective is when you lie on your left side, you basically really open up all the biliary ducts. Like when you lie on your right, I feel like you're putting pressure on them because they're on your right side. So when you lie on your left side, you give it space to open. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So again, that there's no studies on that. It's just my 10 years of experience, left side. So that's what I recommend. But yeah, you can literally you'll see online. You'll like even with like liver flushes, they'll be like you drink the drink and then you lie down and lift your legs up for 2 minutes and you lie on your, like they've got all these random protocols.
Choreography.
Again, just people have just done them because it's worked for them, right? So there's no right or wrong. Like you can do your right, you can do your left. For me, I do my left because that's how I've got the best results for myself and people I work with.
Left makes sense to me. I always heard beginners start on your left, more advanced, maybe you can roll to the right and then center and sort of rotate, move around. But I find for beginners, they're like, I don't want to move. He might fall out.
Yeah.
Just going to stay right here.
With people who go through my program, I basically say, listen, when you do these new protocols, like there are guardrails on, like when you go bowling, get the guardrails. I like just do what I say, just until you learn it and you're comfortable, and you'll do what you want anyway. Like you'll take it and you'll run with it, and I love that because that's how we evolve all of these practices. So me with liver flushing, I've read the book, and now the way I do it is very different to the book, the Andreas Moritz book. But initially, have the guardrails on and do I get my clients to do how I've learned it and how I've evolved it, and then you'll take it and make it your own. So yeah, absolutely. Start on your left, then move on to your right, and we'll find what works for us just by doing the reps.
I love that. Since you brought up bile, what are your opinions on a specific bile push with the short chain fatty acid, like a PC oil or grass-fed ghee? Do you think that there's a place for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's great for stimulating bile, right? And we have sluggish bile most of the time. If I'm going to, outside of doing a castor oil pack or a coffee enema or a liver flush, if I'm like, right, just want to give my bile a little bit of love, I would take something like Tutka before beds. Mm-hmm. Little pro tip, this is very pro tip, adding Tutka to a coffee enema concoction.
Ooh.
That's like
Heard about that.
That's next level. That
Okay.
you won't last 20 minutes.
Okay.
If you had a cap.
That's the pro tip.
Yeah, that is pro
Get
tip.
ready.
But it definitely gets things out. So if I was wanting to stimulate bile flow, I would take like a tukka, or things like some bitters before a meal, so Swedish bitters. There's so many different protocols you can do. Like these little shots of olive oil and lemon juice. They're all great. It's about the whole key with detox is having a strategy and being consistent. So like a one-off supplement, it's not going to do anything. Like it's about having a game plan and sticking with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can we talk about parasites?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, because it's interesting in the biohacking space, even that's all over the place. There's a lot of people that are like, I'll never eat sushi again, and parasite cleanses don't work, or you thought you saw a worm in the toilet, but really it was just stringy poo, basically. It's all over. So what do you think? I guess, first of all, what is the purpose of parasites? Like, what is the role they play? Because they're not necessarily always a bad thing if they're present, correct? They could be doing something.
Yeah, so parasites definitely have, I think Instagram's really good at creating these kind of shock and awe kind of images, right? Of these worms. And some of these worms can just be mucus, right?
Okay.
And there can be a lot of fear around it. Like, wow, like I don't want to eat these certain things because they'll be full of parasites. So just to address, you might see like a salmon and they'll pour something on it and then these worms come out. And so
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So basically, I want to explain why that is. Because again, it's very unique to our times, right? Essentially, parasites, they come in different forms. You can get like microscopic ones that, if you really want to get into the weeds of it, parasites are things that by definition are, they live off the host and then they cause an imbalance they're not meant to be there. So, Candida technically is a parasite, but Candida is part of our microbiome and it overgrows because there's an imbalance within our body. But then the things that we see online, the worms, they're things that externally we can come in contact and eat. And what you should know, like normally they would just pass through because they only stay in environments that favor them. So the reason why it's a challenge today is because we live in a very toxic environment and these parasites thrive off heavy metals and toxins and a very imbalanced terrain. So again, if we look at terrain theory, our susceptibility to disease depends on our terrain. So when we have an imbalanced terrain, we're high in heavy metals and chemicals, and as we accumulate these things, we also the body's defense mechanism is to encapsulate these toxins in mucus and in bile. Hence why we get mucoid plaque and we get these gallstones and kidney stones. It's the body's trying to encapsulate these things to get them out of circulation. But when we ingest these parasites, they land and like, oh, hang on a minute, this is bloody marvelous. There's a constant influx of sugar. There's loads of heavy metals in here. This is kind of good. I'm gonna hang around. So
it's the party I want to be at.
Exactly.
Like Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, let's go.
So what they're doing, they're really bioremediators. They're actually helping clean up what mess we've unknowingly created in the body. So actually, if we start parasite cleansing and we kill them, and then they die and they release ammonia and all the and we're constipated, we're in trouble because they're gonna die and they're gonna recirculate. So ultimately, they're there to help. Now, don't get me wrong, they cause symptoms and it's not nice. So I understand that, and you get it, and you're like, I don't want these things. Like Candida, terrible. Worms, terrible. But they're there because the body, the terrain of our bodies are imbalanced, and they're there to try and balance things out. So a lot of people are afflicted with Candida, and they're trying all these herbal things to kill the Candida. And it's like, the analogy is, it's like you trying to kill the flies that are flying over this big pile of poop. And don't get me wrong, you can go and swat those flies, and the flies are dead, and you're like, yes. And you go home. Next morning, oh, flies are back. Why? Yeah, because there's poop on the floor. Yeah, sure. So that's kind of the deal. And it's the same with Candida. Yeah. It's trying to rebalance the system. Parasites, the worms. They're trying to rebalance the system. So the key is, let's focus on cleaning up our terrain of our body. Focus on that, and over time they won't want to hang around. Now sometimes you got to give them a little push to mosey on out, right? But the reason they're there in the first place is because the environment in which they are staying, you being the host, is favorable to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. We can go, I mean, a lot of these experts and influencers are recommending the detox, but then, as you said, they could come back if we're not addressing the reason why it came in the first place. And I think in your journey, you had the mold and the heavy metals. So what did you do that really moved the needle for you in addressing like the bigger picture of what was going on with these exposures?
Something I forgot. We talked about the salmon. I want to come. So let me just.
Oh yeah. I want to know about. Yeah, go for the salmon. I'll come back to my question.
So the reason that the worms are in the salmon is because the salmon is toxic, right? So it's the same thing. So the salmon, like the salmon, are swimming in seas full of crap, right?
Yeah.
So then the worms are like, oh, cool, this is a nice place to hang out. So again, if we had pristine waters, there wouldn't be. So there's a parasite issue across the whole food chain because, we know don't eat. The bottom feeder fish, fine, but the bigger the fish, the more toxic the fish. So again, that's why we have all of these different, the worms coming out the salmon, right? Because again, it's because the salmon most likely has a toxicity issue, if that makes sense. So again, it's all connected. We're part of nature. We're no different from it. So like a fish is, and it's all about addressing these imbalances. And again, if you just live life today in 2025 and just, live life normally, or how the TV tells me to live, you are toast. Unless you've got insane genetics, right?
Yeah.
Good constitution. So we just expose these things all day long. So we have to, again, being healthy, being a biohacker, that's proactive detox, because you're doing things to help the body do what it naturally wants to do. It's a self-healing mechanism. It's not like, oh, okay, we'll just do detox now. It's always detoxing, and the only reason, a job that I have exists is because we're now in a scenario, there's more stuff coming in than we can get out now, right? So that we need to like aid in that process and give guidance on, right, how do we kickstart that process and get more things out quicker, because we've accumulated so much.
Yeah, I like being on that level, the biohacking preventative level, because we're supporting the terrain. We're optimizing before it happens. So to connect the salmon with my question about like mold and heavy metals, I wonder if like salmon is full of, or fish can be full of heavy metals. Is that is there some crossover there? Like the salmon can be a host because they're very toxic. Our bodies can be a host because we're toxic. And where did you start in addressing those exposures?
Yeah, so on my journey, it was literally guesswork, because I was unwell, and I was in victim mode, and and actually this is what got me into biohacking in the first place, right? I was like, oh, this is interesting. Functional medicine labs, all of that sort of stuff, and then I realized, oh, maybe it's what I need to remove out of me rather than what I need to add in. Mm-hmm. So I remember doing a very basic like liver cleanse that I read on a forum somewhere, and for all the work I was doing, all the different things I was doing, all the different supplements I was taking, and don't get me wrong, it was helping, and I was dialing in my sleep, all of that sort of stuff. This gave me such a boost in like, wow, I can actually feel something now. This is really interesting. So then my intuition was like, go that way. And again, I knew nothing about pathways or drain. I knew nothing. I was like, right, I'm just going to try. Oh, okay, coffee enema, cool. Sauna, great. And I just tried stuff, And I was in a very, very fortunate time in my life. I didn't have any children, wasn't married. I was in a good job, so I could just bankroll this thing. And I was just like, right, I'm going to do this, and I slowly figured it out and pieced it all together and just studied, basically like a PhD worth of just studying just to figure it all out. But yeah, I had pretty much everything, like definitely heavy metal issues. My organs were congested, exposure to everything. And it was just literally just trial and error, learning, Herc summer reactions in bed for 2 days, back again, keep going. And then really what I do now is just, the analogy I use is so when we were in London, we moved here about just under a year ago, we renovated our home. We moved into a home, literally moved in just before COVID happened. Thank goodness, because we lived in a tiny flat before. So we moved into our home and then we renovated our home. It took us 1 year to renovate. And then at the end of it, I was like, you know what? If I had to do that again, I'd do it in half the time and half the cost, because you just learn, right? Mm-hmm. So what took me 5 years to figure out is like, right, if I had to do that again, I'd clearly just start here, bang, 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 bang. So that's kind of how I evolved, and now I can talk about it. But when I was doing it, I literally was just like winging it. I was just, this might work. I read about this. I'll give that a go. And then I slowly like pieced it together. But again, a big part of it, I lived in a moldy home. London's full of them. And again, it's not seen as a bad thing. Oh yeah, it's a bit of mold. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's not seen as a bad thing here, or in London. So it was just a lot of trial and error. And again, when you're passionate, you just learn. And what's lovely now is Instagram is so good for teaching people stuff. Like I remember, so I did, we can talk about liver flushing if that's something you're interested in. I've heard about it. I bought the book. I read the book, and then I was like, I'm going to do this. And there was no Facebook there was nothing. There's no, like Facebook groups. There's a Facebook group for everything. There was no Instagram. There's no Facebook. I read the book. And I was like, right, I'm doing this. I hope I don't end up in hospital. Was my thought process, because I didn't know, because no one knew, I didn't know anyone who did it. Like I was just on my own. I was like, I hope this works.
Here we go.
Yeah, it was now.
Sound like a true biohacker there.
Yeah. So that was just me, just trial, and the book says about being vegan all week, which I don't recommend. But I was vegan all week. It's terrible. And I did a liver flush. I didn't die. Didn't go to hospital. Was fine. And that's how I just went. I just would find things. I did them, and just kind of pieced it all together over many years.
Yeah. Now you're here helping other people. That's we learn so much through our challenges, and then we can turn around and serve. I think that's the beautiful thing about a lot of people in this space.
Oh, it's beautiful, and I'm eternally grateful for this life I now. I mean, it's crazy. I live in Portugal, and I serve as a it's beautiful. It's great, but it's crazy. Like my curse ended up becoming my gift, right? And I never would have thought in a million years. But what a lovely thing.
Yeah. It happens a lot in this space for sure. I had a similar story too when I was going through some health issues. It was like before podcasts existed and all, and I was literally just buying book after book after book. That was like the only way to educate. So grateful that it's easier in today's world to educate and share information. So actually, can you share a little bit more about the liver flush, like what that entailed?
Yeah.
So some people that don't know anything about that.
Absolutely. So with detox, there's like as I was saying at the beginning of our chat, there's no one thing. It's not all about detox. And then if we go zoom in on detox, there's no one thing within detox. It's not just I do a liver flush and everything's fine. There's many areas. There's your colon, liver. There's the lymph. There's the cells. There's many different areas, but the liver is a really important part. So the liver has over 500 different functions. It does so many things beyond detox. And the reason why we have to look at cleansing it today is because our livers in this modern environment really struggle. They've just non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. They've now renamed it. I forget the name, but they're like the studies are calling it something different now. But there's a big percentage of Americans that have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So the reason that term was coined was because most fatty liver was people who drank alcohol. So just by living normal life, I was on a plane actually to America last year. I spoke at do you guys know the Weston A. Price Foundation?
Yes.
Yeah, so I spoke at their, not the recent conference, but the one last October in Florida. So I spoke at that event, and I was on the plane flying over to Florida, and there was a retired couple next to me, and they had the whole family on the plane. They were all going to Disney World, like the kids, the grandkids. And the older lady, she was like, I don't get it. I don't drink and I don't smoke and I exercise, but I've got a fatty liver. And I had to say to her, the rules of the game have changed. Because now, what you're cooking your food in, what you're storing your food in, like, the BPA that you're drinking out of, your coffee cup, all of that, those chronic exposures over time can create, the seed oils. My goodness. So all of that stuff, just living life can create an environment where our livers get congested. Now, why do they get congested? Because these toxins are landing in the liver, these man-made toxins, and the body's like, oh, I know what to do with them. So what I'll just encapsulate them in bile and cholesterol salts and just keep them safe, and, for a rainy day. So the liver essentially gets congested and sluggish and slows down, and its function, it basically goes down to like 10% capacity. It's just clogged. It's not working. And bile is like, so important in the body, and bile flow gets sluggish and then everything kind of packs up. So that's why livers today need a bit more love. And there's many ways to approach liver cleansing. It's not just about liver flushing. There's many ways to do it. But this probably has the biggest bang for buck in just physically removing the stagnation that's accumulated. So it was invented, if I say there's two people that invented it, but again, if you put it on social media, they'll battle on who was first. So there's Andreas Moritz and there's Hulda Clark. And, if I say Andreas Moritz did it, someone will be like, no, it wasn't. It was Hulda. Anyway, it's one of those two people.
Yep.
I don't know battle it in the comments. And the gist is this. It's a way to purge the liver of all of this stagnant bile and cholesterol salts. You would prepare for a week, and the gist is on day 6 you have a jar of freshly squeezed lemon juice or grapefruit juice, to your choice, and some olive oil. Shake it up, you drink it for a straw if you can, and then I'm very, very much summarizing it, but I'm giving you like the crescendo of you just drink this thing, and then that will create a huge dump of bile into the system, because citric juice, so lemon juice, it stimulates bile, and then oil will then cause the liver to release bile to break down the oil. So it's like a combo to get you to just, in a real quick and fast way, to dump a lot of bile into the system. And with that kind of forcefulness, it draws out these what we call intrahepatic gallstones. These stones that you wouldn't see on like an ultrasound, because they're not dense like calcified stones, but they are old bile that's dried up, that have encapsulated either parasites or toxins that have just been sat in the liver. So you drink it, it purges them out, goes through the biliary duct into the digestive system, and then the next day you poop out green little emeralds and stones.
Magic.
Wild.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of again, getting into the DM comment or the comments on Instagram. People might say it's the olive oil and the lemon juice congealing, and there's loads of arguments on it's BS, right? What I can tell you, and I'm not here to defend either way, what I can tell you, liver flushing absolutely clears the liver of stagnant bile. Absolutely. And I've seen people change the oil, so not olive oil. I've seen people do coconut oil. I wouldn't recommend that. I've seen people take different oils, and it's, and you don't just get green stones, you get black stones, brown stones. Essentially, you're just purging the liver. And when you purge the liver, it goes from 10% up to 20%. And then you keep going, and you're just giving it back its functionality. And when the liver works, everything works better. Again, 500 different functions. So as you cleanse the liver, amongst all the other things you got to do, you're creating the space for your body to do what it knows. It's naturally, like, its DNA knows what to do. It's natural healing mechanism, knows what to do, but it's blocked in doing that. So when you clear the space, that natural healing mechanism kicks in, and it starts to, so like I said, you want to heal one thing, but it might start healing your elbow, because the body knows what needs to be healed first.
Yeah. Do you like the global healing package version of this, or would you DIY it for people that are interested?
I love Global Healing. I love many of their products. You can DIY it. You can do it for pennies on the dollar. But what they do offer, they offer an introductory pack where it's all there for you. It's all rock and roll. Just do what we say. But you can do it DIY. You need Epsom salt, lemons, olive oil. You need some good prep. So you need to prep with. There's many different ways to prep because you need to prep the liver before. So malic acid is basically the original one was like drink apple juice and eat loads of apples. Don't need to do that. You can just have malic acid, which is what is in the apples. So there's what you can DIY it yourself, but global healing is great for someone who just feels they need a bit of support and they just want a box of stuff to do. That's also really good as well.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I've thought about doing that one, but everyone warns like you're not going to want olive oil for a while after you do that because you have to drink so much of it.
No, but weirdly enough, like it's an enjoyable drink when you do it. It's not the only time it's not enjoyable if you got to shake it up. You don't want to just be drinking pure oil, but when you shake it up, it's nice. And yeah, I love it. And the olive oil is amazing. I have it on everything. But it's not something you weirdly enjoy it. I know it sounds a bit like that's weird, all this oil in one go, but as long as you shake it and you drink it quickly, because as soon as you shake it and you leave it, it will start to separate quickly. Once you try it, you'll know. But it's a bit odd when you're like, I'm just holding this jar of all this oil, I'm about to do this.
It doesn't sound bad to me. I mean, I love lemon, grapefruit, olive oil. Like I used to do this. I think it was they called it a liver gallbladder flush. I think it was kind of based off of Hulda Clark's work, but it was olive oil, tomato concentrate powder, turmeric,
remember
garlic
that one.
powder. And it came out like a really oily, garlicky, tomato pasty soup. I can't ever look at tomato soup again because I just think of that. I mean, I always felt better with it, but this sounds much more tolerable and maybe enjoyable to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like once you've done one and you get into a rhythm of it, it's pretty easy. And here's the deal. This is really important. It's not a one and done.
Okay.
Getting sick, even though you don't realize it, is a process. You're getting sick for a long time. Getting better is a process. So it's not a one and done. You have to do many liver flushes over time. Amongst all the other things you need to do, it's a process. Like I always say Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't walk into the gym on day one and come out like a muscle man. Everything is a process.
Yeah. How often do you do them now?
So for me, I do them probably every 3 months now. I'm on like maintenance. But when I work with people, I get them to do them every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Some people are they're really unmotivated. They do it every week.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say maybe like a quick checklist people should be looking at before doing this? Like looking at the nervous system, making sure they're pooping, minerals. Like are there certain things you definitely want to check off before you try this?
Yeah, so as in liver flushing in particular.
For the liver flush.
Yeah, you definitely want to be pooping. Absolutely. Pooping every day. You want to make sure you're hydrated. A lot of people are dehydrated. Taking minerals. And feeling calm, right? So not, if you, and here's the thing, you don't need to do just to be less stressed. There's a lot you can do. Just, for example, don't sleep with your phone next to you. Stop watching the news. You don't have to do any all of these different therapies to calm the nervous system. They're all great as well. I'm not saying they're not, but just changing your external environment, like just turning off your notifications on your phone. Really simple.
Huge.
I don't have it, and even as well, I don't. On the iPhones, there's this always on thing where it's always on. The lights and the time, it's always on, and I'm like, no, I turned it off. I don't want it.
No.
So my phone will not do anything unless someone rings me, but no one really calls today, right? Like just WhatsApps. You guys have Signal and stuff. We have WhatsApp here.
Yeah.
The phone will only ring I'll only engage the phone when I want to engage the phone, not when it pings me. So things like that, really simple changes can calm things down.
Yeah, freedom for your nervous system.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about working with you and your program, but I have to ask about the lymphatic system first because I feel like that's a big missing piece that's getting a little traction on the internet now. But we have a lymph system that doesn't activate on its own. We have to engage with it. What can you share, just like quick education around the lymphatic system?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, part of the drainage pathway. So it goes colon, liver, lymph, organs, cells. Lymph's really important. Doesn't have a pump. Moving's really important. So exercise, no brainer. Walking, no brainer. Infrared saunas are really great for moving the lymph. You can do dry brushing when you're in the sauna or in a bath. My number one pro tip is to get a rebounder. They're Bellicon brand is like the best brand. It's really good. And they are quite expensive, so you can't do that. We call it skipping here. You guys call it jump rope.
Yeah.
So if you just add that as like a pre warm up in the gym, so when you're rather than being on a bike, just skip. And if you can't skip, teach yourself how to skip. I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do it. And then I was like, right. I remember I taught myself. I did 5 minutes every day for 30 days. And then by the end of I remember 10 years ago, I was like, I'm teaching myself because I just couldn't. I kept on falling over.
Tripping, yeah.
Yeah. And then you can do all the skills and all the,
Yeah,
and then with the squat.
Double under, triple unders.
Exactly. So that's a really entry level way to move lymph. But again, just moving the body, walking. So yeah, again, if we're just sitting down all day and we're not moving, we're not exercising, then the lymph's not moving. So just getting out, walking, moving is the main thing.
Nice. Simple.
Great.
I like that.
Good list. Well, yeah, Adam, maybe you can share more about, can people work with you? Where's the best place to find you? Learn more? All the things.
Absolutely. So yeah, I have many different detox programs, many different ranges. So depends what people are looking for. The main place to find where I hang out is Instagram. I've just started YouTube. It's a whole new animal. So I'm just
congrats
trying to do a video a week at the moment. And it's definitely out of my comfort zone, but it's good. That's a good thing. We're learning.
Yeah,
so
getting some new neuroplasticity and
oh yeah. My brain's definitely grown in the last couple of weeks. So Instagram's the main place. My handle is @IdealDayAdam. Same for YouTube. I also have a podcast myself, the Ideal Day Podcast. That was the first thing that started. That's been going 5 or I think nearly 7 years now. So that's detox, but it's also it's all health and wealth and well-being. It's everything about how to be happy and healthy. So that's also really good to check out as well. And yeah, if you message me, normally we chat people on Instagram and DMs for different things that we offer, and also through email lists and stuff like that. So many different ways you can work with me, and really it's about taking you through a process of detoxifying, and also, if I'm honest, it's being healthy today. Because again, a lot of people, it's shocking the amount of people, even in the health space, who still have their phones in their pockets. It's bananas, and I made a. The only time I had my phone in my... This is just my choice. I don't have my phone in my pocket. The only time I did was actually at the Health Optimization Summit, ironically. And my wife was pregnant, and we were in the kind of zone of she can give birth at any moment. So I was like, I can't be on flight mode and be like, oh, let's just check. Oh yeah, my wife's giving birth. I had to literally, I was like, right, I'm going to have it on.
That's the exception. That's allowed.
That was the exception. So there's a really good book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Firstenberg. It'll blow your mind on how impactful EMFs are to everything. So anyway, I teach things like that. Again, I said to you, it's not just about detox. It's not. It's about how do we be healthy in this environment today.
Wonderful. Yeah.
We'll put all your resources down below, so if you're listening, please scroll down to the show notes. And before we let you go, Adam, can you share just one piece of advice, something you can share with our audience, something they can start doing today to start optimizing their health and wellness?
I'm going to say focus on being grateful. I do this when I wake up and when I go to bed. I focus on the good, because listen, we're programmed to focus on the bad stuff. Focus on the good stuff, and really kind of let that marinate in your mind, and really be appreciative. And if you have a partner, chat to them about it. That's huge. The other thing I would say is pray. I got into praying about a year ago, and I love it. I pray every day. To whoever, whatever you believe in. I believe in God, but I think it's a beautiful thing, praying and just giving thanks. So give you 2 there. But yeah, entry level, gratitude, we've all heard about that. Next level, do some praying, do some like connecting.
Love that.
I
Thank
love
you
that.
so much.
Yeah. We all
Thank
need
you guys.
more of
It's been a
that.
pleasure. Amazing.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Adam. And thanks to everyone that tuned in today. We will see you next time.